So the activity for today, what I'd like you to do is, I'm going to go to the website here. Okay, so it's here under, if you go up to the navigator and then go to this, what is it, logo of letters, okay? And you're going to be doing something called a ligature. Now you've heard that, I've mentioned the term before. A ligature is a connection. We talked about letters like F-I and F-F-L in the word waffle, and how a ligature connects letters. We're going to be making a logo out of that idea. And so what you'll see here is I've used the font Bodani. Now I don't think you will have Bodani on your machine. You might, I'm not sure, but I'm guessing that you won't because it's a paid font, unless your machine happens to have it. If you don't have that, you can go and get any fairly traditional typeface. And a few people asked me if I could just show you how to install a font. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to go, there are a couple places you can get free fonts. I mentioned previously that Font Squirrel is kind of one of the better ones out there. So I just went to Font Squirrel, and then from there, if you scroll down along the right here, and then select serif, oops, where do I go? Serif from here. Okay, it'll give you a bunch of serifs, and then I think that what you can use for this activity, if you scroll down, there's one called Baskerville with two V's, which is based on the original Baskerville, which is a good font. So if you click, if you're on a PC or a Mac, this should work. OTF is open type font, which should work on either a Mac or a PC. TTF here will only work on a PC, it won't work on a Mac. Okay, so go and get this guy here. Click on that, it's going to download the font. Okay, and once you've done that, you're going to open up the, you'll download a zip file. Double click the zip file, it'll give you the file within that. Okay, and then from there, on a Mac, you just double click this and it'll install. And on a PC, I think you probably have to right click and say install font or something like that. Okay, so I'm just going to, I've got two here, regular and italic. Okay, I'm going to double click, it'll open up the font, and I just click install font. And I'm sure PC is equally simple. You just have to install it. You might have to right click to do it. I forget. Anyways, if not, Google that if you need to install font. Okay, so I'm going to install these two, and those will now show up on my, so those are now installed. Okay, so I'm going to close that, and I'm going to go to Illustrator, and I'm going to show you what we're going to be working on. Let's take a quick look at the website here. Okay, so from here you'll see that what I would like you to do is, using a serif font like Bodani 72, you're going to take two letters and you're going to connect them. Okay, creating what's called a ligature, and that is often used in logo design. Okay, and what you'll see on the left here, there's a PDF that goes through a whole number of different styles of ligature, and I've got that here. You can go through and take a look at all different kind of types of ways to link letters together, and it all depends a lot on the two letters you're using, right? So in some cases, like the example that they give here, the H and the K have a shared stroke, right? So you could connect those and use that in a certain way. And then you'll find that sometimes they, depending on the style of the letter, right? Like this A versus that A versus this A versus a different A and an N, depending on how the font that's used and how the strokes work in each typeface, you're going to have different options available to you. If you wanted to use one of these specific styles, check, what angles the A is at. What happens if you use a lowercase or N or uppercase N? So play with some variety there. And then this is the one that you're going to be doing. Okay, and I demonstrate that on my website. And then you're going to do another one of your own choosing. Okay, but let's just take a look at how, and there's lots of options here. Okay, and they even put together some that don't go together well. For example, these here, they just don't fit well, and they've demonstrated some styles of building bridges between letters that don't work well together. Okay, anyways, so let's go back up to, we're going to be doing this guy first. Take a look at that. And that is on my website. So if I go to my website and I show you this, there are steps you can follow. Okay, so you start off with the I and the lowercase m. In this font in particular, you can make it small caps, but you may have to do that with uppercase M, depending on your font selected. And then you're going to end up using some shapes to cut away some of the kind of excess pieces of the font. okay, until you end up with this. So go through these steps. It's pretty straightforward. I've had classes do it before with no problems. Give it a shot and see how that goes. One thing I will mention, when you're using a font, let me make a new file here. Whenever you're using a new, let's do it here. Okay, so whenever you're using typeface like this, you cannot edit this type. If I go to Outlines, Command Y, you notice it's not changing anything because this is still a typeface, which means I can double click it and add in letters. Okay, it's still typeface. To make changes to the shape of the letters, I need to right click and select Create Outlines. Okay, once I do that, if I go Command Y now you'll see that this is like any other shape. Okay, this is now made of anchor points and Bezier curves, and now I can make changes if I wanted to my font. Okay, so if you are doing something like this activity where you need to cut these pieces, you can't do this with a font. You've got to create outlines first. Okay, so keep that in mind. Okay, so these are some of the examples. Now, get rid of this. What you'll notice here, these are some of the different samples that are included in this tutorial. So if I go back to this, the PDF, okay, this guy here with all the different ways to do this, you'll see that there are a number. And these are some of the examples. So here they've got, I know, a really kind of traditional modern, modern serif with like kind of a very clean and sleek lines to it, and really straight lines. You know, whereas some of the more traditional serifs might look like they were done with a pen or a quill. They have more natural strokes to them. This is very neat and cut, very fine in some places. So let's take a look at how this would be done. Okay, so let's go over here. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to break these apart by going to create outlines. Okay, that means I can now edit these. And take a look back here. They lose this line right here. You can see that they cut that, so that leg gets removed. Okay, and so once I've done this, let's zoom in here. Okay, there's a few different ways that I can do this. Probably the easiest way is to use the shape builder. So I'm going to go and create a line, and I'm going to try and match this line right here. Okay, so now that I've got that, I can select both, go to my shape builder, if you remember that tool, and by holding, I'm going to have to increase this down here. Let me move that down to there. Try that again. Okay, I can select that, go to my shape builder, and hold Option and remove any pieces that I want. Okay, so now they've only removed that line, so I'm going to have to do a similar thing over here. I'm going to put another line right there. Okay, and now when I select everything, shape builder away what I don't want. I got rid of one of my lines. Try that again. There, got it. Did some tries. Okay, and now I can get rid of this line because I don't need that anymore. And I can get rid of this line because I don't need that. And now I'm left with the pieces that I wanted. Okay. Now if I want to move these, I need to ungroup them because they're grouped together. And then I can bring this over. And now I've got a similar setup to this SA that we have. Now they use a knife tool, which is similar, but that's one of the examples. Okay. Similarly, I can do the same thing with this. Okay, and I won't bother going through it, but you get the idea. Okay, set up a line. So again, turn this to outlines. Okay, so create outlines, create a line using your line tool. Try and line it up with to get the angle right, and then shape builder away what you don't need. Okay, give that a shot. See how that goes. And then here I've got another one. Notice that this font is not quite as bold. Notice the O here is not as bold as the O here. But go and see if you can find a font that works. You don't have to do all these. The expectation is that you're going to do at least this one, the IM. Okay, give that a shot, and then pick one other font to try and see how that goes. Oh, sorry, one other ligature to try from here and see how it goes. Okay, there are lots of options. You can do your initials, you can do a word if you want to. There's lots to try. Okay, and that's it. Once you've done that, put that up on Google. So put it on your blog, just like normal, and then take the link from your blog and post it on Google Classroom. And I'll get back to you guys with some feedback, and hopefully you're reading the feedback that I give you, and it's all making sense. And then that'll be the last activity for this, and you guys can start to study for our quiz, which will probably be again done on Socrative, but I'll give you more detail about that maybe tomorrow. Okay, take care and have a great night. Bye.